Okay, so a couple days ago, I got a pretty nasty email from one of my haters, and it basically said, "Hey GTL, you're a pretty nasty person if you're going after people that are like losing their jobs or their businesses are going down, and that these are hardworking Americans and you're just kicking them when they're down." And then they ended by saying that they're glad that my channel got demonetized because it's a stupid Canadian channel. To be honest, I'm surprised they didn't end the email with like USA, USA. But to make my argument, I don't do this to put people down. I do it because everybody has a responsibility when it comes to who they voted for, as well as their country. And Canada is not going to come save your businesses. I mean, you're insulting us, you're threatening to take us over, you're throwing tariffs on us. I mean, you can't have it both ways. And in today's video, we're going to talk about Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. And I do want to thank Abby, a good friend of the channel, for sending this one over to me. And this article is from ProPublica, and I guess it's based out of New York. And they're going to give us a bunch of sob stories from the Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan area on how some businesses are struggling to survive because we're not going over to their side anymore, I guess. So, to the hater that wrote me that email, you're going to want to watch this one because I'm going to shove it down your Republican throat. Yeah, I think this video might be a bit of a spicy one. Now, before I start, a huge shout out to everyone that is subscribed to my Substack page. Seems like a lot of people actually like my article on the Vermont distiller, basically saying that Canadians want our alcohol, it's their government that's stopping them. Like, fuck that, seriously. But I want to thank everybody that viewed that article and shared it with their friends and family. And a special thanks for those that subscribe to the paid subscription. And a big thanks to those who have contributed to my Buy Me a Coffee page to help me keep this channel going. Alright, now getting into the article, before I start, I want to set the baseline for the city that we're going to be talking about, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. And you can see from this political page, Michigan is a red state. I mean, a barely red state. I mean, they have 49.7% of the votes, and the Democrats only had 48.3%. But this is what really shocked me, is that the Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, they're based in Chippewa County, which Taco Tuesday won by 61.3%. So if you ask me, this county is as red as ketchup. So just keep this in mind when I start reading out the sob stories. Alright, let's get started, and the article is titled, "As Taco Tuesday's tariff war with Canada drags on, this border community suffers without a voice." And like always, I'll read it out for everybody in case you're just listening or visually impaired. And for those of you who are saying, like, stop saying that, it's annoying, well, fuck off. It's called common courtesy, and I'm tired of people telling me what to do on my own channel. Man, I'm starting to sound like Josh. He's been a good influence on me, I think. Basically teaching me not to take shit from anybody when it comes to my channel. He's been a great friend of the channel. Go subscribe to him if you're not. Alright, let's get started with this article. On the northeast edge of Michigan's Upper Peninsula, nearly 1,100 people gathered in late June for the International Bridge walk across the long span that links the two cities with the same name, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan and Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Both the sun and sentiments were bright. We don't like to say there's a border here, because we're twin cities. We're one family, the countries of Canada and the United States. Don Gary, mayor of Michigan Sioux, pronounced Sioux, told the crowd ahead of the annual walk. He sported a black ball cap that was given to him by his counterpart in Ontario Sioux. It featured a flag from both nations with the words "strong together" and "allies and friends." How long ago was that hat given to you? Canadians in cheerful patriotic attire joined the bridge walk, with maple leaves tagging their scarves and socks, shirts, and shorts. Americans came out in the star-spangled t-shirts, heralding the nation's 250th birthday. But this lively tradition is clouded by an increasingly hostile relationship between US and Canada. Now, I'm actually curious if I have any viewers from the Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario area, and whether or not they actually know about this walk or participated in it. Because I'm really curious to see if the participation from the Canada side is down or not. Let me know in the comments below if you're from the area. Traffic over the bridge is way down, and in recent weeks, President Taco Tuesday threatened new tariffs in retaliation for the thick wildfire smoke wafting through the US, when his administration announced an additional 50% tariff on an array of Canadian products. The White House cited Canada's discriminatory treatment of American products, then using a separate mechanism, it hit Canada with a further 10% in tariffs. So, to my hater that I mentioned earlier, your country basically started this whole thing with the initial tariffs. Are you expecting Canada to just kind of sit there and take it? Yeah, it's not going to work that way. Anyways, following pressure from the Taco Tuesday administration that delayed it, a new publicly owned bridge, the Gordie Howe, opened Monday between Detroit and Windsor, Ontario. Canada hosted a Canada-only opening ceremony. You know, I don't think the drama with the Gordie Howe Bridge is over yet. I mean, there's already truckers from the Stellantis company that will be disciplined if they end up using the Gordie Howe Bridge. Apparently, Stellantis and the Ambassador Bridge billionaire have some sort of deal where their truckers are supposed to use the Ambassador Bridge. I'm sure we're going to hear more drama like this. I mean, it's not going to end when it comes to like Taco Tuesday. Diaper Don wasn't present for the ribbon cutting, even though he used to cheer for the project. Up at the Sioux Bridge, there was no sign of the region's congressional representative at the celebration of international friendship, even though, during Taco Tuesday's first term, Rep. Jack Berkman, a Republican, hailed relations with Canada. In 2020, when Berkman was appointed to an interparliamentary group that provides a forum for exchange between Canadians and American legislature, he boasted of the Sioux Bridge as a point where millions cross every year to conduct business, shop, work, and enjoy what each country has to offer. Yet Bergman, who is endorsed by Taco Tuesday in an upcoming contest primary, has been virtually silent on the new tariffs and their blowback in local communities, even as he's prodded to speak out by many of his constituents. The only reference to Sault Ste. Marie in the news items in his website during Taco Tuesday's second term are mentions of an infrastructure project and a February 2025 letter to the president about a purported member of a Venezuelan gang crossing the border. So in other words, this Bergman guy's a bit of a chicken shit. Seems like he's in hiding when the real questions come out. But you know what I find funny? All these Republican government officials, they in the past, they boasted about their friendships and things with Canada, but they're silent now. And these are things that Canadians are watching. I mean, we know how you guys acted before, and now you're silent, and you're just basically following whatever the U.S. administration wants. The silence is deafening, and to be honest, that also applies to the Democrats too. As Canada responds to Taco Tuesday's move with emergency interventions and buy local boost tourism, significantly fewer Canadians are crossing the border for once ordinary activities: shopping, eating, fueling vehicles, vacationing, or visiting family and friends. The Sioux area lost at least $82.9 million last year in local spending because of the decreased crossings, according to an estimate on the International Bridge Administration, which manages the span. $62.7 million on the Michigan side and $20.2 million on the Ontario side. Okay, there's something wrong with these numbers. Michigan lost $62.7 million because of Canadians not going to their city, but the Canadian side only lost $20.2 million? Seems a little bit lopsided if you ask me. I mean, it's clear that Canadians spend more money on the Michigan side versus Michigan side coming over to Canada. And the United States has a way bigger population than us. Seems a little bit lopsided, doesn't it? There were 270,000 fewer crossings last year at the Sault Ste. Marie Bridge, International Bridge, nearly 24% drop in 2024, exceeds similar declines in Michigan and other border crossings. Based on the currency used to pay bridge fares and information from the Canadian Prime Minister's office, the drop is largely due to the loss of Canadian travelers. Halfway into 2026, auto traffic has lingered at the same lower volume, according to the bridge director, while commercial traffic has fallen nearly 15% further. Well, Michigan, don't expect this to improve anytime soon. Nationwide, the total number of Canadians returning from the United States last year dropped by more than 25%, according to data from the Canadian government. What Canadians have done, of course, is they're boycotting the US, said Michael Broadway, a geographer and professor emeritus at Northern Michigan University who has researched the travel trends, and joined the bridge walk. Ordinary people can only do so much about federal politics, he said, but what they can do is they can vote with their feet. I prefer to say vote with our wallets, because, the wallets is what you actually care about. All right, I'm going to skip forward a little bit because they just talk about how economically it's important to the area. We already know this, but the viewers of this article, which is probably going to be U.S. citizens, they don't know. So let me skip forward. Wilda Hopper, co-owner of Bird's Eye Outfitters in Michigan, Sioux, feels the change. She said that the drop of Canadian visitors is mostly noticeable in the off-season, when her gear shop and cafe relies on local community, including those from the Ontario Sioux, to carry through the snowy months. Between fewer Canadian customers and rising costs, Hopper said business is down by about 27% compared to what it was last summer. I can tell you I've spoken to business after business up in the Sault Ste. Marie area and in the eastern Upper Peninsula, and they're all feeling the pressure from this, said Michigan State Senator John Damus, a Republican who represents the community of Lansing. McKinnick Island's feeling the pressure. Everybody is feeling the heat from the deterioration in our relationship with Canada. Well, Senator Damus, since you're a Republican, you're actually responsible for some of this as well. Actually, not some of it, all of it, because your entire Republican Party is the reason they're in the situation right now. It's a bewildering fallout, he said. After a brutal ice storm last year, he remembered Canadians crossing the Sioux Bridge to help Michiganders repair the electrical grid. This is our best friend in the entire world, Damus said. Sorry, Damus, but your words hold no weight with me, because when you check the box beside Taco Tuesday's name, and you're part of the party that is causing all of this mess, I'm sorry, but I don't feel like you get to call us your best friend anymore. I hope you do remember the Canadians crossing the bridge to help you with your electrical grids, and keep remembering that. Because those were the Canadians that helped you. Will we help you in the future? Personally, I would say no, but I'm sure we probably would. Only so much can be done about it from the State House, though, when it's Republicans in Washington in the power position. Two of Michigan's voices in Washington are those Democratic Senators Gary Peters and Elisa Slotkin. They don't flatly oppose tariffs. What? But they have challenged Taco Tuesday's approach, calling it respectively chaotic and sloppy. Slotkin has said that constitutionally, only Congress can levy tariffs or raise taxes. Peters introduced bipartisan legislation that seeks more tariff transparency. All right, let me go back to that Slotkin comment. Two of Michigan's voices in Washington are Democratic Senators Gary Peters and Elisa Slotkin. They don't flatly oppose tariffs, but they have challenged Taco Tuesday's approach. I don't know about you, but I think Slotkin has just lowered herself in my respect list. It wasn't very high to begin with, especially after her comments about the China EVs. But now, the fact that she's not flat out opposing the tariffs, she's no better than a Republican if you ask me. So yeah, Slotkin can go fuck off. Now, I'm going to fast forward a little bit because they start talking about this Bergman Republican guy, which we don't care about. But if you want to read the full article, I'll leave a link in the description below. Taco Tuesday's quick shift trading policies are especially difficult for Michigan's agricultural industry, the state's second largest sector, according to a recent report in the state's agriculture department. The report, which hasn't been publicly released, said that the exports fell 12.3% last year, signaling severe strain with a country that is our strongest trading partner. Well, no shit. I love how these articles are explaining things like it's brand new news or it's breaking news, but like this stuff, we knew it was going to happen since the first tariffs were put on. But then again, I have to remember that Canadians, we already know this kind of stuff. I mean, we're kind of in tune with what's going on. But the audience for this ProPublica article, they're probably clueless. Meanwhile, the relationship between the US and Canada is fraying even further. A White House fact sheet on the new 50% tariff acknowledged the ways that Canadians have changed how they do business. The White House said that Canadian imports of US motor vehicles dropped by about 22% between April 2025 and March 2026, compared to the same period the year before. And, due to provincial restrictions, Canadian imports of US alcoholic beverages have plummeted. Notice in this entire article that it does not mention the initial tariffs that were put on us, like, what was it, March of last year? Which is the reason why all of this is happening right now. It's kind of an important thing to omit, isn't it? Last screenshot, and it ends on a note from Mark Carney, which I think we're all gonna like. Mark Carney, Canada's Prime Minister, said in a letter posted on social media that the series of tariffs imposed by the US began with ones that were in direct violation of the standing of the North American trade deal, the deal from Taco Tuesday's first term that he once celebrated and that Bergman described as a great economic victory for Michigan. Okay, so they do mention the initial tariffs. I'll take my statement back. With the deal up for review this year, the Taco Tuesday administration declined a long-term extension of the pact. Carney has also widely signaled that Canada is looking beyond its near neighbor for trading partners. Carney said in an April video posted on his YouTube channel, and everybody listen to this, many of our former strengths, based on our closest ties to America, have become our weakness that we must correct. I don't think there's a better way to say that. And our friendship that we've had with the United States, it was always our weakness. It was our weakness because we depended on the United States. We trusted them, and we helped them when they needed us. But it was our weakness. Because we're quickly finding out that, yeah, it was a one-way relationship. It always has been. And the second that Canada starts to stand up for itself, the gaslighting started.
And so when people stop coming to Maine, particularly from Canada, from the maritime provinces, they're not hurting Donald Trump. They're not hurting the powers that be in Washington. They're hurting their friends here in Maine, whose businesses thrive and depend on Canadian traffic. And that is disappointing. You're not sending a message to Washington, and you're only hurting your friends and potentially family members who live and work in Maine.
We recognize why those sentiments are where they are, and as I said, we respect them. But when you are ready to come back, and we hope that you will be ready to come back, we will be here with open arms and open hearts, and and ready to embrace you, because you're going to find us the same people that were here before you decided not to travel.
And then, we're watching things develop. We don't like watching a decision to let Chinese vehicles into Canada. That's not something we want in the United States. And so we're struggling for the first time in a long time, being on different pages on international trade issues.
It is outrageous that Canada will not put U.S. spirits on the shelf. It is insulting.
It is.
And disrespectful to America that they won't
Absolutely.
even put...
And my husband has an interest in a company that has American spirits.
What I've just showed you are 4 instances of the United States gaslighting Canada into thinking that we're the problem, that we are hurting their state, or that we're not doing what they want them to do, or that we're being outrageous because we don't have their alcohol on the shelves, or the one that I hate the most, when we are ready to come back, like it's our fault, then they will welcome us with open arms. It's not taking any responsibility for, what your country's doing. It's just basically saying when you're ready to get your chip off your shoulder and, apologize, we will then welcome you back and your wallets. Well, to all 4 of these people on the screen, and probably Rosemary as well, go fuck off. Seriously. But to the state of Michigan and the Sault Ste. Marie area, specifically the Chippewa County, and your 61% vote for Taco Tuesday, you're not going to get a single ounce of sympathy from me. And if your business is closed, that's on you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, whether you agree with me or not. Closing out this video, I would like to thank Hallie Gal from our Discord server for posting this photo from Digby, Nova Scotia. I've never been to Nova Scotia, but with all the photos that I'm getting, I almost feel like I know the area now. So I want to thank you, Hallie Gal, for posting this on the Discord server and sharing it with everybody. And I do want to apologize if I was a little bit more edgier in this video. And I think I've just reached the point where I'm not going to take the gaslighting from the haters anymore. And I'm not going to let them ruin what we have here. Alright everyone, that's it for this video. I hope you found some value out of this video. And if you did, consider checking out my Substack page or my Buy Me a Coffee page. Your support helps to make sure that this channel keeps going. So I thank you everyone. And I'll catch you in the next video.